Hello, everyone. This is the Zingtree team, and today we're going to talk about a very important area in the agentic space, which is how quickly can we apply agentic towards very complex workflows that are critical for business processes. And we'll talk about what they are, but ultimately these are the processes that are driving your business that are causing probably the most compliance challenges, but the potential upside for both revenue and customer retention. So to begin, my name is Pete Lee. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer here at Zingtree. So I'll take you through the journey on how we're thinking about this space and using agentic for the complex. And I'm also joined by my partner in crime, Guillaume Tarralle, or known as GT. GT, do you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Guillaume, GT, VP of Solutions, and I just make sure that our solutions kind of fits well with our clients' tech stacks.
Awesome. So we'll jump into the topic. So to start, foundationally, we're at a point where we've been having challenges with chatbots, right? In earlier times before 2022, chatbots was all the phase. We were using chatbots to try to solve all the industry problems with the cost of human labor by trying to deflect more conversations, more chats, more calls. And ultimately, we all know the experience. Chatbots sucked, right? It wasn't a great experience. It wasn't very personal. Some basic natural language. And this is all pre-AI. And obviously, with AI came the hope that all of this would change. But today, chatbots still suck. To be very honest, AI chatbots was supposed to be the solution. And ultimately, what that has created was obviously hallucinations, dead ends, all these challenges that we see by trying to have all these challenges, right? And again, we know we're still facing the same challenge. The cost of support is increasing. The cost of complexity in handling that support is increasing. So we need to be able to use technology in an appropriate manner. And if we're being honest, language models today, GPT today, is all the fad. And obviously the space that is most catered to is CX. And aren't we supposed to revolutionize that by then? What is the main challenge that we're not able to do that? The truth is we're still chasing deflections, not resolutions. And what that means, and obviously everybody's moving towards resolution-based pricing, but ultimately we're still looking at chatbots towards the low-hanging fruit, right? Which is to try to deflect some costs. But ultimately, it's the customer journey that's most important. The customer journey to resolve the entire experience, the most complicated use cases in CX that truly matter to our consumers and to our businesses. And so what are the challenges today that are faced by our customers? Ultimately, where are chatbots making these errors, right? Ultimately, is the inability to be able to understand the context and the intent. Our customers today are subjected to some of the most frustrating issues. And me as a consumer, everybody as a consumer, we all face these challenges. So there's the unresolved dead ends, right? Where we get through a conversational chatbot or a voice AI, and ultimately we're at the same situation we were. And then we basically get frustrated and we hang up or we cancel the chat, right? Or we have cold transfers where we repeat the same information over and over, where finally we get to the agent and they're still asking the same thing that we gave into the chatbot or the voice AI. Ultimately, there's no continuity, and that leads to a lot of frustration and increased handle time, but also poor customer experience. And then there's also delay escalations. We get mapped to the wrong people. The subject matter experts that actually know the challenges, we need to rely on them, but we're not able to map to them till the fourth or fifth stage of the call. And all of this comes from the inability for AI to understand all these challenges and knowing your systems and your processes, right? It pulls the wrong data, it identifies the wrong issue. It gives you hallucinations that leads to some of these challenges. So again, it's creating a perfect storm because there is a demand for AI. We know we need to optimize it. We know we're getting downward pressure from our executive team to be able to use AI because we got to drive down costs, but because our competition is using it or perceived in using it. And obviously, the other major challenge of trying to use AI, especially ungoverned AI, is that in addition to a poor experience, hallucinations is a humongous compliance challenge, right? We all heard all of these stats. Companies that are sued for fraudulent AI behavior or incorrect information, or even the story of airlines booking the wrong flights to other elements that are catastrophic for your reputation out there in the market. And so as CX leaders, we know we have to use AI, right? It is being pushed to us. We use GPT in some ways in our day-to-day lives. We know that there is value in AI. But we also know that we as operators cannot take the risk of integrating AI that makes mistakes, that is unpredictable, that hallucinates, that has dead ends. So we're balancing the need for technology with the need to drive efficiency and also accuracy with the experiences that our consumers are getting with our support system. And so how do we break that cycle? So Zingtree and Zendesk, we're here to do things in a little bit different manner, right? We believe that AI needs to follow the right guardrails. The rules that are set in place that humans need to follow, which means that AI needs to be able to understand the issue. They need to be able to use the logic and rules defined by business. They need to understand the context, and they need to be able to real time get to the resolution while improving over time, right? And where AI gets it wrong is that you're not able to identify information. And a lot of this is structured because you don't get access to the right data. So again, by breaking the cycle is to let AI follow the rules of the road that you expect humans to follow, but leveraging the creativity and the power of AI, but against the system processes and knowledge that you guys have defined. And what this means for the complex is really the areas of business operations that are meaningful for all of our verticals, right? From insurance, where claims is a very large challenge that you got to navigate through. And there's, structures like first notice of loss that you have to adhere to. Handling a dispute to do it correctly, right? To be able to route to the right manner with the right situation based on all the different programs of insurance. In the healthcare space, two of the major challenges that we see with complex business operations that are critical that needs to be governed by AI. One is around, as a consumer, as a patient, the scheduling and the diagnosis experience, right? The cost of misscheduling is enormous because there are clinics that require all these different rules. I can take this insurance, I can take those patients, and those are all rules-based. All the way to Medicare enrollment, where you need to qualify for that Medicare plan, but also there are different policies in different states or different counties. From a electronics, consumer goods, industrial goods perspective, we're talking about being able to deal with supply chain, availability of parts for returns, replacements, whether something's under warranty, so that you can properly troubleshoot or are you eligible for return. Right? There's a lot of rules in place that AI needs to navigate. And then finally, in travel gaming software, the consumer services, being able to book a proper refund, book a proper rebooking, right, to how you handle subscriptions and billing. So all of these are critical business operations that drive both the revenue upside for our businesses, but also retention, cost savings, but most importantly, all using rules that are critical, mandated by a larger government entity, right? Whether it's first notice of a loss, all the way to travel rules, all the way to HIPAA. These are very complicated processes that our AI agents need to follow. And so the use case I want to talk about today is, we are all dealing with consumers a challenge in booking and rebooking flights. And this is where AI needs to be able to follow very specific rules, right? The challenge today in dealing with the travel industry, right? One is there are so many systems that they got to deal with, making it impossible for AI to know the source of truth. There are very complex rules regulated by oversight coming from different entities, right? Obviously, as you're trying to hire agents, again, for the customer journey, some journeys can be deflected as you get to the agent. Agents need to be consistent in being able to interpret all of these variety of rules. And again, these are very high-risk use cases that can lead to fines or loss of revenue or loss of customer reputation, right? And together, we want to create a systematic way for agents and customers to navigate using data, enforcing with scripts and automation, and getting to resolution based on all the data and the flow that a workflow will require. And so with that, we'll share this use case in a little bit more detail. And I think the use case we'll show is very relevant and timely based on how the world is operating today. GT?
All right, thanks, Pete. So what we want to show you today is how Zingtree operates within the Zendesk ecosystem. And the example we'll take is going to be in the travel space, like Pete just mentioned, and maybe somebody starts the interaction on the chatbot, the Zendesk chat, and they want to rebook their ticket. Can't rebook the ticket on the chat, so we escalate to a human. And it opens a ticket where Zingtree will live, right? We are in the Zendesk marketplace, okay? Now the ticket gets created and it has some information. We know who the requester is, we know the booking reference, and we know the contact reason because that was all captured in the chat interaction, okay? But now we need to do something a little bit more complex, and it's complete the actual rebooking. There's a lot of different things at play here. Zingtree is here on the right-hand side, okay? Now, I'll take a quick second to mention that the look and feel is completely customizable, but so is the content within these workflows, right? And the reason I say that is because we might be focusing on travel, but the truth is that it could be any industry, okay? So in this example, we knew the booking reference on the left-hand side there is one of the field. So we were able to make an API call to another booking system, maybe better travel agency, to retrieve more information about the PNRs and the booking details, right? And in this case, it looks like there are two passengers. One here and one down there. And so the next step of the process is to select the PNR that we want to do the rebooking for, right? So you select it in Zingtree, and then the flow will guide you to the right next best step to take. Now, in the middle of that workflow, you can inject some AI, right? Very constrained AI with a very specific task with limited data to be able to achieve that task. In this case, we are grabbing information about the knowledge articles on how to issue a rebooking for that airline, okay? We're also grabbing information to look to see if the airport that's in the PNR has a closure, right? And then we ask the AI to kind of package that together for us. In this case, we have an alert because the traveler was going through Dubai, and with what's going on in the world today, obviously we're all aware of some of the disruptions that are happening in the Middle East. So let's say that the airport is closed. And so because the airport is closed, then the rebooking fee as per the rule of that airline is to say there is no rebooking fee, right? And there's an explanation of what the AI found here. Okay, great. So now the agent is armed with all the right information to be able to proceed. Okay, we can collect information as part of the workflow. It could be dates, it could be free-form text, it could be drop-downs, whatever the case may be. In this case, we're capturing the dates that we want to travel. And again, we're going through another AI agent to kind of say, hey, look at all this data from this booking and tell me, is there an upsell opportunity, right? Did they book, or did they book for the lounge? Do they purchase luggage? And in this case, it looks like there is no luggage as part of the ticket. So we are basically saying, hey, let's offer that as an upsell. Okay, we can offer that to the client. And if they accept the offer, great. If they don't, then at least we tried. But let's say that they accept the offer, and now there's a whole lot of automation that can be happening on the back end, right? A few things that you might have noticed. Some of these fields were previously empty, and Zingtree updated the fields directly in Zendesk. Why is that helpful? Because now you don't rely on the agents to have to fill out all the right fields and run the risk of them forgetting to, right? So on the data perspective, you want to make sure that you're set and you create that governance in Zingtree. We've also created these internal notes, which are hugely valuable for people who want to QA or people who want to go back to a previous ticket. We were also able to send an email directly to the customer. And then lastly, we just closed the ticket here, which you'll see at the bottom, right? And now the agent can move on to the next interaction, right? Now, these are just some of the examples. Other things you could do: create a chat ticket, start a Slack conversation. All these things that are available natively within Zendesk, we can call on as part of the Zingtree workflow. Pete, back to you.
Thanks, GT. And this is very timely. Again, these are really large issues in the environment. And just to give you an idea, right, air travel right now is in chaos. Again, you guys have all the business out there probably have some processes that are driven by change in policies on a macro level, or change in business entities and other reasons. But the airline industry has brand new rules come in daily. And without a system that can interpret those rules and bring to the agent to act upon it, there obviously presents a lot of different challenges. And so again, as we kind of get to a finale, we want to think about AI and agentic that shrinks the variance of variability, right? That ultimately brings the right experience, the guided experience to the agent or the customer journey based on the LLM, the intent, the business rules, and the context. And without these guardrails, your agent AI is going to hallucinate. But with these guardrails, your AI is going to act appropriately with new information as it comes in. And Zingtree is the command center for agentic. Ultimately, we understand the data, the business rules, the immediate context of the situation. And with all of that blended with a business-friendly workflow that you can build and present to any layer in front of your agents or your consumers, you're then able to navigate these very complicated rules, as GT shown in travel, but also in other industries that we talked about earlier, right? All the way from insurance claims to healthcare enrollment, to troubleshooting or returns in product companies. Ultimately, this command center allows you to be able to take what is previously AI for the simple to now AI for the complex. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I think together we can solve some of the most complicated workflows with agentic. And we truly believe that if we can have a system of record that allows us to be able to build agentic with that follows the right rules, AI can do more than it is doing now, which is very fundamental to actually solving the complex. So please stay in touch. Please email me if you have any more questions. And we thank you for allowing us to have this presentation. Thank you all.